Hello, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I am so excited about today's conversation because, everybody talks about self-sabotage like it's a bad thing, or you should know better, or you should be doing better. And then we go down and we blame ourselves and we shame ourselves, and then we get nowhere because you can't hate yourself into self-love. You cannot self-blame and self-shame yourself into a higher level of consciousness and frequency. And so my intention for you guys today was really for you guys to understand the real emotional, like primal emotional needs that us humans have, and how that relates to the ways that we can unconsciously sabotage ourselves, so that when you move forward and you realize that you're in a cyclical place, or that you are in a place. Hi, Maggie, you just popped up on my screen. Happy to have you here. Love you, girl. That when that all comes up, we have a deeper level of understanding why it's coming up, because when we understand why, it takes the personal aspect out of it, like we are doing something wrong or something is wrong with us, and it takes it into a place of it's outside of me, it's just a program that's running. We make it impersonal, and then when we have no emotional attachment or emotional definitions around it, we are completely free and in control of it. So I'm really excited. This is going to take about an hour. What I'd love to do is I'd like to give you context for what we're talking about, give you the knowledge and wisdom. And there will be a replay available. And then if we have time at the end of the hour or before the end of the hour, I would love to open it up for Q&A, or anything that you guys still feel like is unclear or a little bit clouded, or maybe even more direct on how it's affecting your lives. And so the only way for you to really get the most out of this is that you're completely, radically, and unconditionally, lovingly, supportingly honest with yourself. The more honesty that you can have without self-blame, without self-shame, without I shouldn't have to deal with this, or it shouldn't be this way, or whatever have you, the less you can do that conversation and be just more, again, it's not personal, it's just data, then the more honest you can be, the better off you're going to be, and the most you're going to get from this. Because I'm just providing you a permission slip that allows you to go deeper in, but all of the work is in you, and all of the answers are within you as well. So let's just dive in, right? Because that was a pretty long introduction. So most of the foundation of the work that I do is for the big dreamers, for the creators of the new earth, for those who have dreams that might seem completely unreasonable to the normal NPC, right? But in your gut that you are meant for something absolutely amazing, something that's going to change the trajectory of humanity in big and small ways. Now, if that doesn't resonate with you, that's okay, because maybe you're still here to, just get over a limiting belief, or get out of a cycle that you're in your life, or you're done repeating the lesson over and over and over. So everything that's going to be filtered through today is going to be in relation to some goal. So I want you guys to close your eyes for a second, and I really want you to set an intention. And the reason why this is so important is because intention is providing focus and activating a part of your energy on this particular focus of where you want guidance, answers, and solutions to your life. So what is it in your life? What is this impossible situation that you're facing? Or maybe it's not impossible. What is this aspect of your life that you want to change, that you feel like you're sabotaging? Which we'll go into those definitions too. But what place in your life feels out of alignment, and you feel like there's no way forward and there's no answers, and you feel completely alone? And now, what is it that will provide the answer for you? how will you know that you've received that answer? How will it feel in your body? How does an epiphany feel in your body, in your mind? What is that feeling of elation because you've received an answer? And then release all expectations of it having to happen that way. And allow yourself to be completely open to whatever highest and best, most divine truth from the source of creation wants to come to you. And let's begin. So what are these primal emotional needs? Now, some of this is based off of Tony Robbins and a few other people's work. I'm not whole like dead set on Tony Robbins, but these do make sense. I do believe in Bashar's, human needs, those 7 human needs, or it's really physical existence needs. But what are these? So before we even dive into that, there does need to be some context around the conscious and subconscious mind, and that is a whole nother class in itself. And so I'm just going to give you the highlighted bullet points, right? Some of you might already have knowledge on this, but the conscious mind is that that analytical. So anytime you're learning something, anytime that you're experiencing something new, anytime you're trying to plan something, that is when you're in the conscious mind. Now, the reason why conscious mind work is not as deep or as pertinent or as transformative as the subconscious mind work is because the conscious mind can only take up so much at a time, and it's very logical. It's not deep rooted. And the reason why every spiritual guru and their brother and neuroscientist and their brother talks about doing work on the subconscious level is because that is where not only all of your long-term memory is stored, which means that all of your impulsive or unconscious decisions come from this unconscious place based on your timeline and what you've experienced in your life and what your trauma triggers are. But also that is where you are, your primal needs and survival are met. So there's this one quote that changed my life forever about understanding why why it's so important to reprogram at the subconscious level. And the quote is, you cannot outperform an image that you have of yourself in your subconscious mind. Okay, I'm going to say that again. I really want you to experience and feel into this language, okay? You cannot outperform an image that you have of yourself in your subconscious mind. And the reason for this is because our subconscious mind is hardwired for our survival. And all of our triggers, all of our limiting beliefs, and even our activations of joy, happiness, and expression, and all of our unlimited beliefs, all of these have served a purpose somehow in keeping us alive. So even though it might not feel or be logical that to have a belief that I'm unworthy, in some way, shape, or form, that belief served you or protected you or kept you safe somehow. And so that's why the subconscious holds on to it. The subconscious doesn't hold on to anything that is extraneous. Okay. Now, that's why, I want you to focus on the image for a second. The image that you have of yourself in your subconscious mind. Who you identify yourself as. What are the beliefs about yourself? What are some of the things that you've said about yourself and about your life in the last 24 hours? And think about that for a second. In relation to the cycle you want to break through in your life, if it's possible to break through this, if it's, unrealistic, or if it's realistic, or you have contradicting beliefs like I can do it, but I also don't feel worthy, or I want to do it, but I don't feel like I have enough time. What are some of the ways that you describe yourself? What are some of the ways that you describe your life? What are some of the ways that you describe your dreams to yourself? Now, all of those answers that just came up, either consciously or even unconsciously, maybe it manifested as some sort of feeling like anxiousness or despair or sadness or worry or concern, or as it pertains to you. That is the image, that is the parameters of the person that you have of yourself in your subconscious mind. Now, that's not your prison sentence. That's not your indefinite way of being and living. Okay? We upgrade the image of ourselves on a subconscious level, and then therefore we start acting within those parameters unconsciously. Okay? We could talk about how we do that in a second, but let's dive into the emotional needs. Okay? So, the reason why we operate within these emotional needs is because our subconscious mind is filling these emotions and these needs for, of course, survival. Of course, survival, right? And so let's go into them. So the first out of the 6 emotional human needs is certainty and comfort. Okay? Us humans have a strong need for certainty, some more than others. You're certain that things are going to work out. You're certain that this is the right way. You're certain that this is the right channeled message. You're certain that, you're with the right person. You're certain that you're on the right diet. And that comfort, because comfort equals survival as well. Right? That's why we have the same home, or we drive the same type of car, or we watch the same type of TV shows, or we watch the same, like where there's predictability, there is stability, and that stability equals survival. Does that make sense? So when you're in a place of wondering if you're sabotaging, you might want to look at, what am I clinging onto that makes me feel certain about something? What is it that I'm clinging onto that makes me feel comfortable about something? Right? So our need for certainty. And then what seems contradictive is we actually have a human need for variety. So that is the, you know what, I am sick of this shit. I am going on a road trip. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going to go somewhere and I'm just going to drive north and see what happens. Or you go to a completely new restaurant that you're not usually going to. Or you have this variety in relationships. You like to have lots of different friends, or you like to make lots of different connections. You're very social. Right? So that taste of variety. I need a variety. I need a change in my diet. I need a change of food. I need a change of doing my hair. I need a change of clothes. I need a change of friends. I need a change in location. We have to have sometimes that uncertainty. We have that emotional human need for uncertainty, right? Roller coasters are a great example of that. The third one is significance. Significance. We have a human need to feel like we matter, that we are loved, that what we're doing matters and what we're providing matters, and that we are significant not only to others, but we are significant to ourselves. So anytime you're choosing to do or not do something, is it because you're trying to fill that human need for significance? Right? Are you trying to find a way to be significant, to feel like you matter, what you're doing matters, that you can be seen as you are, that you can be heard as you are, that you can be loved as you are? Significance doesn't have to be, I make 500 million a year and I'm on ABC and I have a book and I'm an author. It doesn't have to be that grandiose. But where in your life, in your relationships, in the decisions that you make, this can show up at work if you're trying to level up in your career or get a promotion or start a business or whatever have you. You're already filling in the blanks as I'm talking. Just trust what's coming forward for you, okay? The fourth one is love and connection. Love and connection. So feeling like you belong. Now, the typical story of this is that there's one person in the family that has an entrepreneurial spirit and everybody else believes in the 9 to 5. And so more often than not, because they want to fill that human need of love and connection and feel like they belong somewhere, they'll decide to just short circuit their dreams. They'll decide to tap out. They'll decide not to do it because they care more about being accepted by the community or by the people in their life rather than going outside of that and breaking the norms. Okay, the black sheep of the family are really good at being able to have that love and connection with their self and know that love and connection is coming with their authentic tribe rather than just holding on to the familiar relationships, right? But that's also, with your spouse, with your kids, with work, right? If work has a certain way of doing things, the corporation has a certain way of doing things, and you step outside of that and have a different idea, you get anxious, not because you're putting yourself out there and you're vulnerable, but you'll also feel like, is it going to be accepted? And are people still going to like me after this idea? Are people still going to respect me after this idea? Okay, figure out how that pertains to your life. So those are the top 4. Okay, those are the really, those are the ones that the subconscious mind, our primal survival protector, in this case, the subconscious mind does way more than that. I'm trying to keep this to an hour, okay? Because I can go on for hours. But it's that certainty, that human need for certainty and comfort. That human need for that uncertainty or that variety, that change up, that need for significance and feeling significant, feeling like what you're doing matters, that you matter, that you are loved, that you are seen. And then that feeling of love and connection, feeling loved, feeling connected, feeling like you belong, that you're valued, right? And then the last 2 are in addition to. So we still operate from a place of trying to fill these primal emotional needs, but the top 4 are usually connected to one of these last 2, right? So, or I should reverse that. So these last 2 are connected to the 4 that we just described. Okay. So the 5th one is contribution. You want to feel like you are contributing to something bigger than yourself. And this doesn't have to be you volunteer every weekend somewhere. This could be that you're providing a new idea at work, or this could be that you're providing something for your children. This could be that you are contributing to the community, right? So that sense of wanting to contribute and that contribution. Okay. And then the last one is growth and expansion. Now, if you're walking a spiritual path, if you're walking a spiritual journey in a non-egoic, really authentic way, you have that need for growth and expansion, because the truth is that spirituality is not about yoga. It's not about meditation. It's not about affirmations. It's not about the law of attraction. It's not anything about that surface level bullshit. It's really about being honest with yourself about your dark. The dark is simply the unconscious, the wounded, the unhealed aspects of yourself, the unseen, unknown parts of yourself. It's not because you're evil, malicious, bad, something's wrong with you, something needs to be fixed, right? It's not about any of that, because you're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. What's really going on is that you just need to shed all of the impurities, all of the societal programming, all of the authority figure programming that is not in alignment with your highest and best self. That's all that's happening here. There's nothing wrong with you. You didn't do anything wrong. You're not broken. It's just releasing and shedding all of the impurities that are not in divine alignment with the highest expression of self. And that means being able to embrace the dark, embrace the wounded, embrace the anger, embrace the frustration, embrace the rage. It's okay to have all those things. There's an emotional intelligence aspect of that. That's a different conversation. I want to try and keep it to the topic of today, okay? Because those emotions, that rage, frustration, anger, resentment holds a very deep, powerful light purpose. But I'll just leave it there. So we have this need for growth and expansion. We always want to be the learner, either the learner in a subject, the learner in how something works, or a learner about ourselves, about us, about who we are. about what we believe in, about why we function the way we do. So we will always want to grow and expand. And when we're not growing and expanding, that's when we go to numbness. That's when we go to numbing through TV, numbing through social media, numbing through substances, numbing through food. Right? When we have that numbness, it's because we're not feeling that need for growth and expansion. And there's other things, aspects to that, but for the conversation and topic of today and to keep it tight, there you go. So what I want to ask you is, out of certainty, variety, love and connection, significance, growth and contribution, contribution, growth and expansion, which one are your top two? Evaluate for a second. Take a look at, you'd like step outside of your daily life, step outside of your reality, and what motivates you? What are the motivations you have? And what two are driving the source of those motives? What motivations are stemming from those 6 emotional human needs? Pick 2. There might be 3. We have all 6. I'm just talking about the most potent ones that have the most jurisdiction over your decision making right now. The decisions you do make, the decisions you don't make. What is it? Okay. So when you look at that, reminding you, I'm just looking at my notes here to make sure that I stay on topic, because otherwise I will not. Our subconscious mind fills in these human needs by the unconscious decisions that we make. You know, we've all heard that, you can either choose to stay in the hell that's most familiar or the heaven that's not familiar, right? You guys know the quote I'm talking about. I know I butchered that. Okay. But we choose that familiar hell because of that certainty. Because again, where there is predictability, there is stability, even if we don't like it. And that stability means survival. That's why that quote that I mentioned in the beginning, you cannot outperform an image that you have of yourself. That's why that is so important. That's why reprogramming has to come down to the subconscious level. It is responsible for all of your involuntary decisions. Now, I know some people, obviously the first strategy is deep states of meditation. Sometimes that's listening to a guided meditation. Sometimes that's listening to subliminal reprogramming, all that stuff. But what if you struggle to meditate? What if you can't sit down and meditate? How do I know I'm accessing the subconscious mind? Okay, you really only need to be in an alpha brainwave state. Theta brainwave state is what is the most effective, but you can get into alpha. So there's beta, which is where the conscious mind exists. Beta, for example, is again when you're learning something new, when you're analyzing, when you're planning, when you're critical thinking. Okay, you're probably very conscious right now. You're probably in beta, right? And then there's alpha. So alpha, ways that you're already going to the alpha brainwave state is when you're driving long distances or driving the same way to work or driving the same way to the grocery store. Like when you tune out and you're like, whoa, how did I even get here? Or you're in deep thought or deep connection with the music that you're listening to. That's alpha. You're already doing it. No effort. Another way of alpha is scrolling. Another thing of alpha is watching TV. It's when you lose your critical thinking, and that's when the doorways to the subconscious mind begin to open, and it's like direct. Now, the theta brainwave state, which is actually the place that we want to get to, and you can get to over time with practice, okay? But that theta brainwave state is like when that parasympathetic part of us is activated. So that's like when you're just falling asleep or you're just realizing that you're waking up. The theta brainwave state is where the internal world, your emotions and your thoughts and your visualizations and the things that you're thinking about or sensing are more real than the external world. So if I had to put this, and then there's gamma and delta. Gamma is like that really high brainwave state that brings feelings of bliss and gratitude and, like infinite possibilities. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about that beautifully. And then there's delta, deep sleep, and all that stuff. But those are not pertinent to what we're talking about here. If I could give more substance for you to chew on about this, the beta, if I said to picture yourself on a beach, okay, the beta brainwave state would be like, which beach? Are there rocks? What kind of sand? What country is it in? Right? That's beta. If I said picture yourself on a beach while you're in alpha brainwave state, you can actually probably start to picture which beach you don't even care what country it's in. You don't even care the color of the sand, right? You're just there and you're feeling it and you can tune into it and it feels good, right? But logically you're not there. It's just your imagination, okay? But theta brainwave state is that you are on the beach, and actually you can find that you're the grain of sand on the beach and also the water coming in, the tide on the beach, and you're the seagulls on the beach, and you're the rocks on the beach. You're the all-encompassing beach and the human or being on the beach. Does that make sense? It's a full embodied experience. So I want to play around in the alpha brainwave state because that might be more familiar, and then forgive me, one last thing. So if you can't meditate, how do I access my subconscious thoughts, right? Well, it does take a level of, again, radical self-honesty and self-awareness. And self-awareness isn't, let's see, what is like conventional wisdom? Yes, we can be aware that we're choosing things and we can be aware of our decisions. See, the hardest thing is to see is ourselves. The hardest thing to see is ourselves and what we're doing and why we're doing it and why we're making the decisions that we do. It's an ever unfolding process, and it does occur in layers. So the more honest you can be with yourself at one point, it does drop down deeper and you can have more honesty, more introspection, more self-reflection, and then it dives down. Like the deeper that your roots are, the higher that you can ascend, right? Right? So that level of honesty and not being afraid of your wounded, your dark, your inner child for most, all of those things, the deeper down you're willing to go, the higher that you're going to ascend. Okay. Let's see here. So being able to access the subconscious mind without being able to get into that deep theta brainwave state is paying attention to your thoughts between thoughts when you're in an unconscious mode. So our body goes unconscious, just in short, our body goes unconscious to preserve energy. Right, that's where all of the detoxification happens and the regulation, the biological regulation happens, stuff like that. And so when you're going unconscious, like you're driving, like you're washing dishes, like you're cleaning the house, like you're just sitting there watching TV, and then all of a sudden anxiousness boils within you, pay attention to the thoughts between thoughts that are going on there. That's a great way to have that level of self-awareness. And again, you have to have the mindset of that it's data. It's not personal. It's not that something's wrong with you. It's just data. It's just like looking at a chart for a business or for a nonprofit and seeing what needs to go where. Where does money need to be funneled in? Or where do we need to take money out of? Right? Like what do we need to stop investing in so the business doesn't go under? Right? That's all it is. Because this thing is not personal. It's about self-discovery. It's not personal. Nothing's wrong with you. And the more that you can detach from the self-inflicted negative stories and meanings and definitions, the better it is. And actually the quicker you move through it too. So Pay attention to those thoughts between thoughts. When you feel that anxiousness stirring up randomly, or you feel that fear or anger stirring up, what is it? What are the thoughts that are going on? And just observe. Just observe. Take note. In the best way, you already know how. Your intelligence already knows how. So now, some questions for you guys. And sometimes I always like to close my eyes because I go into a better space of channel that way. But if you want to keep your eyes open, you're welcome to. The reason why I invite you to close your eyes is because when our eyes are open, we're accessing the conscious mind. It's very stimulating, right? And we do not want conscious answers because conscious answers do not provide that deep-seated transformation. So I will invite you to close your eyes. So we're accessing more of that alpha brainwave, accessing more of that subconscious mind. Okay, so I'm going to close my eyes. And first, I actually am feeling drawn to walk you through some breath work. So this breath work was developed by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and this is a pineal gland activation. So Dr. Joe has discovered that by causing mechanical stress on the body, the pineal gland, the crystals on the pineal gland begin to grow, which attunes to more sensitivity, heightened intuition, the ability to connect to the infinite unified field, which I really like to refer to as creation. But if you're very science-based, that works very, very well. The unified field of quantum physics, unified field of infinite possibilities. So the way that we do this breath work is we start by breathing in from the bottom of our abdomen, pulling it all the way up, expanding it through our chest, expanding it through our neck, and pulling it up to the top of our head and holding it. By holding it, causing that pressure that activates the crystals on the pineal gland. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through a few breaths, and then I'm going to give you some questions to kind of reflect on so that you can see how this applies to your life. Okay, so breathing in from the bottom of your abdomen. It's okay if it's unfamiliar. It's okay if you don't get it right the first time. Breathing in from the bottom of your abdomen, pulling it all the way up to the top of your chest, expanding through your rib cage, expanding through your chest, pulling it up through the neck and holding it at the top of your head. Hold. Start to feel some pressure building. And exhale, release. Feel your eyebrows unfurl. Relax your forehead, relax your jaw. Allow your shoulders to come down from your ears. And relax the muscles around your ears. Relax your scalp. Soften the abdomen, soften the legs. And find your regular rhythm of breath. And now breathing in again from the bottom of your abdomen, pulling it all the way up through your ribs, expanding it through your chest and pulling it all the way up to the top of your head, and hold it. Whatever thoughts are going on or chaos is going on, it's okay. The more you deny its existence, the more you devalue it or tell it that it doesn't belong or it shouldn't be there, the more it's going to persist. Accept that it's there. Be okay with it being there. It's not that it doesn't belong. If it didn't belong, it wouldn't be there. Co-create with it, co-dance with it, have acceptance for it being there without wishing it were different. And when you're ready, exhale. Feeling yourself sink deeper into your body the best that you can. Knowing that everything is happening as it should be, even the things you think that shouldn't be happening. or what you're told the standard is on how to operate or how to do breath work or what you should feel during breath work. Forget all that. It's nonsense. It's white noise. You're divinely perfect in the moment that you are right now. And that's another thing too, in relation to sabotage. So when we cannot accept the reality that we're being faced and we're doing, I wish it were different, I shouldn't have to do this, this is unfair, or you're comparing yourself to others or comparing yourself to a future timeline, or you're trying to ignore, suppress, deny, try to meditate yourself out of it, try to affirm yourself out of it, try to be positive, think yourself out of it. That's also sabotaging, because the thing is what you're being presented with is a stepping stone to get you where you want to go. So the more you devalue it or unjustify it or deny it, the more it's going to persist in your life. If you can have full acceptance, because you cannot move forward in your life without acceptance. So if you can accept that this is the beast, or this is the challenge, or this is the thought that I'm dancing with right now, how can you embrace that, find out why it's belonging there, why it's showing up without self-judgment or self-shame or blame, and figure out how to co-create and dance with it? Because I'm telling you, the more you try to deny it, the more you try to invalidate it, the more you actually become it. It belongs in existence of creation, otherwise it wouldn't be there. So how can you be intelligent and use this as a stepping stone to propel you forward? All right, last pineal gland activation breath. So breathing in from the bottom of your stomach, bottom of your abdomen, pulling it up through the rib cage, pulling it up through the chest, and pulling it all the way up to the top of your head, and hold it. Now I want you to use your discernment, and I really want you to push yourself. Hold it for as long as you can, as it feels safe to do so. Hold it. Feel an energy building above your head, in your crown. And when you can, when your body's ready, you can exhale. But if you can hold on a little longer, then do that. And breathe out slowly. Okay, so now for some mental exploration. So this impossible circumstance that you're facing, or the thing that you're afraid will never change, or the thing that you want to stop sabotaging yourself in, how are you filling the human needs, these primal emotional human needs? How are you filling them in right now? What are some of the unconscious behaviors? What are some of the unconscious decisions? What are some of the unconscious patterns? Let go of the need to be right. Let go of the need of having to have all of them now. Just allow it to flow. What is the heart telling you? What does the soul want to tell you? What does the higher self want to tell you? How are you filling in these needs now? Now, are these because not all of these habits are destructive. Okay, but first I want to identify these behaviors, these decisions, these patterns. Which ones are destructive? Which ones actually do cause the sabotage that you're fearing? Or how are some of these contributing to your dream? When you get fearful, where do you go? When you get doubtful, where do you go? And how is that filling those 6 human needs of certainty, variety, significance, love and connection, contribution, growth, and expansion? Where do you go? What do you do? Just observe without self-blame, without self-shame. It's not wrong. It's not bad. Everything can inherently be good if you can perceive that. Because even the negative things in our life still hold a positive meaning and definition. They can serve double duty. Now, what other ways or habits do you already have that can be replaced? So how can you replace these? That feels achievable. Not, I'm going to meditate every day for 30 minutes. When you struggle with meditation, that's not a reasonable expectation. Guys, I don't think you understand. It is the smallest decisions that make the biggest impact. So one thing could be, I'm going to be more open to surrender. Or I'm going to be more open to trusting to surrender. Get micro about it. In what ways can you replace the habits and decisions of certainty? In what ways for variety? What different ways in significance? Again, if it's being channeled in, what is highest and best? What is in most divine alignment with my soul? What is in most divine alignment with my highest and best path moving forward? You don't have to have all the answers. Let Creator show you. What about love and connection? What about contribution? What about growth and expansion? So now I want you to imagine what you're going to do instead. Now this is important because your eyes are closed. You're reprogramming your subconscious mind now as we speak. And as you imagine, as you visualize, or as you receive information, or as you feel the sensations in your body, you're reprogramming. So when you observe yourself making fear-based decisions, what are you going to choose to do instead? What are you going to choose to do instead? Visualize it. and what feels achievable. Now I want to share something with you guys. So if you focus on one thing to implement, okay, it could just be as simple as I'm going to breathe through it when I'm stressed, or I'm just going to acknowledge without self-judgment of what I'm thinking or what I'm feeling. Could be that small, okay? If you focus on one thing, you have an 85% success rate. Now, if you try and focus on two things, like I'm going to meditate every day for 30 minutes and I'm going to not judge myself, then it goes down to a 45% success rate. And then if you try and focus on three things, like I'm going to meditate every day and I'm going to focus on not judging myself, and I'm going to, I don't know, let's just say go outside and ground in nature every day, and those are not in your regular practice, it goes down to only a 4% success rate. So what is the one thing that you can focus on so that you can have the highest chance of success in this and not sabotaging yourself anymore? And actually, it also comes down to this too. Sabotage happens because we're afraid, because it's challenging our need for certainty. It's that the hell that's most familiar, right? So what are we afraid of if it does work out? This dream, this goal, this thing that we're trying to invite in our life, what are we most afraid of if it does work out? You know, I had a client where she wanted a huge house, but she could never manifest it. Something always slipped through. And so we did work on that. And it turned out she had a belief that she didn't want the big house because then she would be housing everybody. She had family members and relatives she didn't want in her house. Right? She didn't want to be responsible for picking up everybody's dirty laundry or bad decision making. So what are you afraid of if it works out? Are you even going to know who you are anymore? And by not knowing who you are anymore, does that scare you? Commitment. Thank you, Rick. So when we talk about sabotage and self-sabotage, yes, we do have these human needs of, and don't worry, Rick, there will be a replay. I'll post it in the Light Beings group and I'll post it in the, yeah, there'll be a replay. But this certainty, this uncertainty, in variety, the significance, love and connection, contribution, growth and expansion, those all play a role in it. But the truth is what are you afraid of? Who are you afraid won't accept you or love you? Are you afraid of being seen? Do you feel even worthy of being seen and being heard and being accepted as you are? Do you feel enough as you are right now? Do you feel significant within yourself right now? Do you feel like you matter within yourself right now? And if you don't, the question is why? And then also, if you don't, exactly, Rick. And if you don't, what are you afraid of happening if you finally are seen? What are you afraid of happening if you really are heard? What are you afraid of happening if you really are enough? What are you afraid of? So I want to leave with some of these concepts, okay? This came from a program I was doing about 2 years ago. And this came channeled through. So sometimes we have to discern. Is it laziness or is it self-sabotage? Is it just the universe's resistance? Or divine timing? Or is it sabotage? Or is it really actually self-sabotage? So I have some information, channeled information that came through that you can kind of just chew on. Okay? So is it being lazy? Or is it self-sabotage? Now, you could say that laziness is a result of self-sabotage, but I want you to hear this. If it's lazy, it's a daily practice. It's a habit. And it's based on excuses. And of course, these excuses come from fear. Fear of it not working out, fear of it working out. Fear of being accepted, fear of not being accepted, right? And you use these excuses to dictate your decisions. Now, is it resistance, like the universe is trying to redirect you, or is it self-sabotage? Resistance feels more like a block. And as we should know, right? Blocks are not necessarily that it's not meant for you. It could mean it's exactly meant for you, but something needs to just ferment or process. That it's just not the right time. That there will be an unveiling of how and when you're in alignment, because as we know, divine timing is not about a date. It's not that on December 25th, everything changes. Wow, that's encoded in the subconscious mind. Holy shit, I picked Christmas. Or January 31st, right? Divine timing is about a state of being in frequency and the ability to be open and receptive. Okay? Something needs to ferment or process. So usually you just come back to it, or you completely let it go and entertain something else. Because even the path of avoidance always leads you where you need to go. So just trust in that. Do your best in every moment that you can. So if it's resistance, it feels like a block. It's not self-sabotage. Something just needs to ferment or process. We're waiting on divine timing, and you just stay in your highest vibration that you can. Now, sometimes even being in a state of feeling shitty, even being in a state of frustration and anger and rage can still be the highest vibration, because there is a message and healing that is trying to occur. So it doesn't always need to be bliss, joy, happiness, love, light. Sometimes it's those denser emotions too. And so if it's self-sabotage, this is how you know bottom line. It is cyclical and always associated with the victim mentality. This will never work out for me because, or the universe is against me because, this is unfair. This is bullshit. I shouldn't have to be going through this. Why do I have to have it harder than everybody else? That is self-sabotage. That is keeping yourself in the cycle. Again, remember, this beast that we're being presented with is something that we can tame. And it's something we can dance with, co-create with. We just have to be intelligent enough to know how. That's a completely different class. That's a completely different conversation. But if it's cyclical and it's associated with a victim mentality, then you're sabotaging. Exactly, Rick. He said it's harder because you are worthy of the task. You were built for this. So stop trying to hide from it. You'll find that this thing that you're trying to avoid is a thorn in your side that's going to turn into an infection, that's going to turn into something that you need antibiotics for, which is going to be something that challenges life or death. Right? But in reality, it's just this thing that's sucking the life out of us. It's just this thing that we have to numb ourselves out of or escape from. That's why we go in. That's why we learn the beast and how the beast works, and we embrace it because it belongs there. Because if it didn't belong there, it wouldn't be there. You always have everything you need. You always have everything you need. And the more you can appreciate what you do have and that what you do need is there, the more you'll be presented with. So, in conclusion, because we only have 2 minutes left. If you're sabotaging yourself, it doesn't mean it's your life sentence. It doesn't mean that it's game over. It doesn't mean it's forever. How deep you can go and how honest you can be with yourself about this, and honest about your fears and what you're really afraid of, and being able to face that fear head on, then you find freedom. Then you're not sabotaging. Then you're moving in the highest divine path. The hardest part that you're in right now is the steepest climb is the hole that you're currently in. If you can see the light, and if you can keep digging, you will get there. It's just, how bad do you want your new life versus how comfortable are you with your old one? That's the real question. And those who take that steepest climb are going to get what they want. And also those who don't do the climb are also going to get what they want, which is that old life and those old patterns and their old blah, 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 blah. So it goes a lot deeper than this, but this is a great conversation. It's a great place to start. It's a great place to explore. Okay? We don't have time for questions. I'm so sorry about that. But, Surat, so good to see you. If you wanted to join me on Patreon, you can find more about that on my website, HaleyCarbajal.com. Maggie, it's always so great to see you, my rock star. I love you so much. You're an inspiration to all. And I will see you guys whenever I host another live event. Bye, guys.